Arctic or Antarctic exploration routes, they advise that if you get them to wear like wet socks or something like that, just keep them next to your skating sleeping bags. Is that something you consider?
Fantastic question. And there's some truth to that, but it's kind of playing with fire. So if you're inside your sleeping bag and you have anything with moisture and it gets dry, where did that moisture go? Into the sleeping bag. So now your sleeping bag's wet. It might only be damp, but it's in the sleeping bag. So that's, with a down sleeping bag, that's reducing the insulating capacity of the sleeping bag. Now that said, if you're hiking during the day and you have a pocket or something, your heat is going to warm it and it's going to evaporate. Now that's good. You've got to be careful with that. Now, if I have something that's like a pair of socks and they're kind of damp, and I get most of the moisture or bring out most of the moisture out of them, I might, indulge myself and put them inside my sleeping bag, knowing that it's not, 1 or 2 nights of doing that, it's not going to ruin the sleeping bag. But if you're out for a long time, it could cause you problems. But those guys never had any problems, right? Nobody ever died trying to get to the South Pole or anything like that.
You can take the line of socks and just hang them on a nail on a shelter or something, and they'll usually be dry by morning, even on the coldest.
It's so low humidity in the winter that there's a lot more evaporative power that goes on. Now, if you do that in summer, you're liable to wake up in the morning and they'll be wetter than when you went to bed. So, that's something to consider as well. You can hang them up. Any other questions about sleeping? We're doing awesome on time, so this is good. Everybody's looking a little glassy-eyed, so now it's time to stand up. We're going to do a little exercise. Because sometimes you bring all the best gear in the world and you're just a little cold. And I mentioned the place that I get cold, usually it's my hands, specifically my fingers. And I have this little exercise that was taught to me by a veteran winter camper, and I call it, he didn't have a name for it, so I can patent it now, but I call it the penguin dance. And what it does is it helps to push blood into the extremities, particularly your fingers. So go ahead and we're going to do like a relaxation. Just kind of loosen your shoulders with your arms straight at your sides. And go ahead and take your shoulders, lift them up, roll them back, and drop them. So you should be kind of pushing your chest out a little bit. And then you're going to take your fingers and you're going to pull them up at a 90-degree angle, as close as you can get. Now at your sides, 90-degree angles, shoulders are rolled back, and then you're going to shrug your shoulders and push down. And you should feel the blood go right to your fingers. And just do it over and over. So again, you're going to roll your shoulders back. Your fingers are pulled up at a 90-degree angle and push down. And you should feel that blood rushing. And now look around the room and see how you feel. Right? So you're incredibly goofy, but you can feel that force of the blood. Now there's other techniques. You can get up and do jumping jacks. You can do circles with your arms, works well. But I haven't found anything that's as minimal effort. When you're tired at the end of the day, you don't want to necessarily be running around and doing all these things. You might want to be conserving those calories for sleeping. So this seems to be a really good compromise. So you can put blood just where you want to put it. Any questions? Awesome. Go spread the gospel. Feet are a little more complicated, because they're already at a 90-degree angle. Basically, hiking is the bigger there. Something I will talk about next, we're going to talk about keeping things from freezing. Because once you learn to keep yourself from freezing, the next task is to keep all of your stuff from freezing. The first thing that I recommend is bring as little things as possible that will freeze, so you don't have to keep track of all these different things. Okay. Number one, keep your water from freezing. We've got all to drink, right? So that's critical. And a couple pieces to this. Number one, I really recommend you have some kind of an insulated You know, it doesn't have to, you know, be some huge vacuum sealed crazy kind of thing. This is just it's a hydro flask, pretty straightforward, not too expensive, but it's got, you know, the double wall kind of deal insulated, and this keeps my water from freezing for the most part, unless it's super cold. One thing that you do want to do if you see these folks is most of them have their water bottles stored like this in their packs or outside their packs. The reason for that is when water freezes, where does the ice go in the water? To the top. If you have it this way, the ice freezes at the top. Can you drink the water then? No, but if you have it this way, at least the liquid, when you flip it over, the liquid is available to drink. You get the most out of it anyway. And the threads will tend not to freeze if you have those at the bottom. Now, that's not going to solve all your problems, but highly recommend that you do that. If you don't have something insulated like this, you can store this inside a couple socks, make your own insulated container, like if you just have a water bottle, that's an idea. The other water container that I have is just a bladder. This is an old platypus, an old friend here. You can fill this up with water and it will freeze pretty quickly, but my trick is that some packs have a sleeve for you to put water bladders. This one actually has a sleeve directly against your back. Or you can pack your pack so that the water bladder is closest to your back. Your exercise heat will keep this from freezing inside your pack. And then if you need to add more water to your thermos, you can, you know, just take this out, pour it in, and put this back in your pack. So it's something to consider. And there are other things you can do, like some people in the beginning of the day will make hot tea for breakfast. They'll put that in here, and then they'll have hot tea at lunch because it was in the thermos, which is pretty clever. One of my buddies surprised me with that one time. We were out hiking and snowshoeing, and we were cold. We sat down to eat lunch. We kind of just huddled there, and he said, "Hey, you want some hot tea?" And I said, "Hot tea? Are you, did you say that right, or did I mistakenly hear that?" Sure enough, he got scalding hot tea out of his thermos at lunch. I was pretty surprised. Okay, the next thing. This is pretty important. Keith, you can attest to this. Water filters in the winter don't tend to work very well. Because water filters, you have to push water through a filter of some sort, and a lot of times it will freeze. Depending on the type of filter, that can do permanent damage to the filter. So what I do is I switch in the winter to, this is iodine, or liquid iodine, or you can use aqua mira, you can use bleach, you can use SteriPen. There's a lot of other options, but I don't recommend filtration for the winter because if you try to pull water from a spring or a creek, it's already really close to freezing. You get that out into a tube, you're pumping it through something, and then back into another tube, and it's just a lot of surface area with ice cold air, and a lot of times it will freeze. Once that thing freezes, you're probably not going to get it to work again on that trip. If you do take filters with you, preheat your water, so fill up your water, put this against your back, walk a couple miles, heat this up, and then you can use this water, this dirty water, through your filter. Now your filter, you don't want it to get cold, so you're going to have to keep it in one of your pockets that's on your body all the time. So I just don't fiddle with that. Well, not worth the fuss, and I just use the iodine. I'd pass it around, but they don't make this anymore, and it's glass. That's going to stay up here with me. But it's, they used to make those. It was the old way of filtering. Questions about water?
I will add that the chemical treatments slow down in the cold weather and the cold water. So even if you're used to doing it for 5 minutes or 15 minutes in the summer, in the winter it may be half an hour or an hour.
Absolutely. And the other thing is this one actually has a thermometer pasted on the side, and it will tell you the dosage actually changes for this one. So what you can do, it's by capful. 1 capful in the summer, it might be 5 capfuls in the winter because of the temperature difference and how long it takes and how effective it is and all that stuff. So make sure you read the directions. Now, at night, you have a special problem because you're not hiking and you don't have something against your back. So things that are really susceptible to freezing at night. Boots, water, fuel, contact lenses, all kinds of stuff. You name it, if it's got liquid, it will freeze. Except alcohol. Now, alcohol will eventually freeze, but not likely to account those conditions. So the thing is, you got to find a way to keep stuff warm. You can put it in your sleeping bag with you. If you do that, I recommend that you have some kind of a baggie for those things, like a stuffed sack or a plastic liner or something along those lines, because any kind of condensation is going to add moisture to your sleeping bag. What I have over the years figured out is there are two ways to keep things from freezing or getting super cold. Bear with me. So the best way, if there's lots of snow, is for you to actually kind of push down into the snow underneath your sleeping pad and create little kind of channels, little holes in the snow, and you can put things of various shapes and sizes down into those channels, and then you sleep right over top of it. Right? So if this is the snow, I can make a little hole, and then I put this container in there. I don't have any pictures. I need to take a picture of this technique. So the heat that leaks through the pad, through my sleeping bag, through the pad into the snow, will keep this from freezing, even though it's down in the snow. The other thing you can do, especially with fuel, this kind of looks like a fuel canister, is you can bury this in the snow. So if you have the choice between leaving something out, sitting out around your campsite, or burying it in the snow, absolutely bury it in the snow, because the snow is a really good insulator. It's an excellent insulator. So, get down in there, bury it down in the bottom, and sometimes even water can go through the night if it's not at 0 and it's got an insulated container. So, but the best way I've found is underneath your sleeping pad. I make a little cubby for my contact lens case. I make one for my water, for my fuel, and all those little holes that I've made, and then I put my sleeping stuff on top of it. And the reason I know that it doesn't get super cold, or I guessed that it didn't get super cold, is when you take your tent apart, your sleeping pad, everything up in the morning, you'll usually see that where you've slept, there's sort of this little icy divot where you've slowly over the night, your body heat has melted that snow a little bit. Anyway, it's a neat little trick. In the winter, I also, to keep things from freezing, I also bring this. These are hand warmers. I only bring these as a first aid kit item. They probably are expired. Well, not yet. But these things, they work. They create a lot of heat, but I don't like to rely on them. They're also like a chemical kind of thing, and you get thrown away and all that. But I bring a couple just in case, or if a buddy needs them, like, oh, my hands are freezing and I don't know what to do. My brother, one time I was out snowshoeing with him, and after about 2 miles, he was like, guys, is it okay? I still can't feel my feet. 2 miles? We've been hiking for an hour. Are you crazy? So I gave him some hand warmers in that scenario. Any questions about keeping water from freezing?
I'm sorry, your technique, you actually put set up your tent and then make divots through the tent?
Yeah.
Just leave them just
Yeah, kind of push down into the snow. Yeah, you can. It'd just be harder to keep it from collapsing. It's not that hard. Snow's pretty soft, and if you just kind of line them there and sit on it, or give it a good push, it'll go down in. All right. What else did I want to? Okay. We did talk about moisture, and I meant to mention this earlier, but if you're going to get your snow, rain conditions, lining your pack with I swear by this system. If you haven't tried it out yet, you buy a pack of 10 for $3 or something at the store. They're the real thick contractor bag, I think they usually call them. And I just put everything inside here and then roll up the top and cinch it down. And I've gone swimming. I sunk a canoe this summer with my pack laying in the middle, and my sleeping bag was inside and it was dry. So that method does work pretty well. Let's see. Did I make it through everything? Okay, so one thing anybody have any questions about like the basics, liquid, sleeping, clothing? The other area that's very challenging is cooking, and things around the camp. So a lot of people in the winter will switch to just straight dry food that doesn't need to be cooked. Okay, nuts, cheeses, and salamis and things like that. Because honestly, your threshold for what is delicious when you've been out in the snow all day long really changes, right? In the summer, you want to go to a Mediterranean salad with some olive oil on the side. And, I'm going to saute something in my pan with fresh peppers. In the winter, it's like, give me that hunk of cheese and a piece of salami and I'll eat it raw, because you're so hungry because you're burning so many calories. And you know that's going to stick to your bones, as they say, overnight and keep you warm. So sometimes just keeping it simple is good. If you do bring those kind of things, they can all freeze. So instead of bringing like a big block of cheese, I will either bring like the cheese slices or actually the string cheese. You've seen little packages for kids. They're for adults too. It's okay. They won't not sell it to you at the cashier. But that way, at least if it freezes solid, you can suck on it and it will break through and then you can actually eat it. And it doesn't have to be much colder than freezing for that to happen. So something to consider. Instead of like a summer sausage, bring like sliced pepperoni or something like that. Dehydrate your own meals. If you bring like a dehydrated meal at Mountain House, all you have to do there is boil the water, so that's really good. Makes things simple in the winter. Highly recommend that. Make sure that you keep your fuel as close to freezing or above freezing as possible. There's a chemical problem that happens with those canister stove fuels, and they won't burn properly if they're really cold. It has to do with the evaporation point of the gas. They'll still burn, but they won't burn good, and it'll take you a really long time to cook. Alcohol is also effective if you cook with alcohol. The colder the temperature of the alcohol, it doesn't evaporate as well either, and you're burning the fumes that come off the alcohol. So keeping that in a chest or a pants pocket is a good idea if you've got your alcohol fuel. Lighters also stop working real well when it gets cold, so you keep that in a pocket's a good idea. I don't do that, but what I do is when I get to camp, I try to remember certain things. Like I grab my lighter and I put it in a pants pocket so that when I go to cook half an hour later, now it's nice and toasty and it'll spark and light really well. Bring matches as a backup. Never a bad idea to have a backup there. As far as cooking goes, just keeping it simple. If you bring any of those kind of like already cooked kind of things, they typically have a high water content and they will freeze. So I'll tell this story since we have a couple minutes. We were backpacking up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and there were 4 of us, and we were relatively new to winter camping. We also just weren't in a rush. So we were at the grocery store and was like, hey, let's get some tuna packets and some macaroni and cheese, and we will cook that up. And how many times have you done that in the summer, right? Like, don't even think about it. We got to camp, and I don't know, you could take some steel that's like, the steel that makes up a building, and I think that would be softer than this tuna packet. I mean, it was rock hard. You could have built a skyscraper out of tuna packets at that temperature. But it was the only thing we brought to eat. We're starving. We're not going to eat just macaroni and cheese because, let's be honest, is that going to keep you full? No, you wanted that protein, and it was right there. You brought it, you carried it. So we played cold potato. We passed around the tuna packet in a circle, taking turns warming it up under armpits, on stomachs, between legs, until it got thawed enough so that we could pour the slushy, icy tuna into the pot and cook it. So those there's chicken packets, right? Tuna packets, Spam, stuff like that will freeze. So be very careful. I think tuna and chicken would be the worst because they're like specifically in water.